Today's guest is it's a first of its kind on our show. We are going to have a conversation with Daniel Negreanu, who is a world-class poker player and Poker Hall of Famer. He has to me, just one of the most interesting backstories. At 21, well, he started playing when he was quite young, and we're going to go through that with him. But at 21, he moved to Las Vegas and lost. He went through a few cycles of winning his money in Toronto and losing it again in Vegas. But at 23, he became the youngest poker player to win a World Series poker bracelet, and that's where he got the name Kid Poker. He has had decades-long career, and he's won over $42 million. This is what is just so wild and cool, and we're going to talk about. He feels amazing after going vegan in 2006. Why'd he go vegan? We're going to dive into that. He realized animal products were weighing him down and making him feel sluggish at the tournament table. So just super fascinated by your story, Daniel. Welcome to the Switch for Good podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. Was it 2006? I thought it was earlier than that. I think I did like the vegetarian thing for a year and around 2002, 2003, made the transition, and then was like, well, I don't think I'm doing much better just eating cheese pizzas. Right. So I made the full switch over to vegan.
I love it. So maybe 2004 or something like that. You've been vegan longer than I have.
In that neighborhood, it's hard I'm not really good with time and years, but I remember, making the transition and slowly transitioning over, which for a lot of friends I have, we're making the consideration to do that. I say that's usually a pretty good idea, is to start, to make it a gradual thing, because it's very, very drastic for a lot of people. And the number one question I get from people is like, why? What am I going to eat? Like they they think they're so limited. And like, well, I don't know what am I supposed to eat? So
yeah. And isn't it so much? It's so much easier now. Like as you guide people through it. When I guide people through it, I mean, it's like I was like 2010, mid 2010, and even then there were not a ton of options, and now it's a whole thing. So it's super easy to help people, especially with their transition foods, than it was in 2004, no doubt. Especially in the middle of the country. I'm from Kentucky, and they just got a Whole Foods there like 6 years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember the first time I used to go to Tunica, Mississippi. This was years ago, and I was vegan at the time already, and it was in the middle of nowhere. Right. And I'd go down there and I'm looking to eat something. I didn't really know what they have. And I go down there for breakfast and it's like fried chicken and bacon. And I asked if they had like cereal or anything. He's like, we got fried chicken. I was like, yeah, but no. Right. So that was a struggle. It ended up being a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But today, as you mentioned, like here in Vegas where I live, if you look on Postmates or whatever, there's just like endless amount of vegan options. If you're into Vietnamese food, there's like a solely Vietnamese place. You've got a wide variety of different options for people. And it's certainly a lot easier now than it was back then.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I mean, I'm in Orange County, and I feel like Vegas has even more vegan food than LA. Our director of operations lives in Vegas, and she just makes me so jealous. I mean, it literally is every type, authenticity, classification of types of food. There's a vegan version in Vegas. It's incredible.
Yeah, they do a great job. And even like, obviously right now with COVID, there's not a lot of going on, but like at the Wynn and Encore, right? So for a lot of people that are vegan, you want to go to dinner with other people and sort of be respectful of that. And like at the Wynn and Encore, every single restaurant there has like a comprehensive, like fine dining vegan menu where they use like Gardein, for a lot of their meat substitutes and things like that. And it's really great. It allows you to like kind of, I don't know if feeling normal would be the best way to describe it, but like having the topic of conversation not always be about, so where do you get your protein? People looking at me funny,
Are both those casinos owned by Steve Wynn? Because I understand he's vegan.
Well, I know that the woman that he's after his wife, I think that is, involved with, she was vegan, and I think he pushed mostly plant-based. There's a lot of people that like are under this microscope, like, oh no, he ate some butter, or he whatever. So I don't think he is to the extreme, but I think even, there's the movement called the reducitarian movement, which is like, even that, if you're going to make that step, I think that overall, that's a really good thing for all of us. I obviously have extreme views, in being a vegan myself, but I do appreciate people making an effort to be conscious of what they're putting into their body and, how it affects the world.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say extreme views because I find the mainstream extreme. Because to me, eating 3 meals a day of meat or fried food or sitting a lot, that just seems not so unnatural. I feel like I'm actually going back to my human roots.
Yeah, no question about it. Like our ancestors didn't eat like 3 meals of meat a day. Like they would, sort of have an animal and then they would eat that throughout the week. And it is important to know too, though, that like, whatever diet people are choosing, like there's a healthy way to do it and there's an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
Like you can be a junk food vegan and it's like, it's tasty, it's yummy. You're not contributing to, animal abuse and things like that, but you're not exactly doing so well either if all you're doing is eating cakes and cookies.
That's for sure.
So thank you so much for tuning in today. If we helped you in any way, then click the subscribe button and let's keep hanging out together. We have so much more to share with you.
And if you need more information on actually making the switch for good, please visit us at switchforgood.org for loads of info. And you can subscribe to our mailing list where you will receive all sorts of super cool gifts, discount codes to our very fave dairy-free products, and a lifetime of powerful health tips.
So join us on the journey to switch for good. This is the future.